Okay, good evening, 7 o'clock. I'd like to call a regular meeting of the Inland Wetlands Commission to order. The first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of June 16, 2021 regular meeting. Have all the commissioners had a chance to take a look at the minutes, and are there any corrections, deletions? Like a motion to approve the minutes? So moved. Second? I'll second. All approved? Thank you. Old business. 4-lot residence subdivision, Peters Lane. We need a motion to take this off the table. Motion? Second? All approved? All right. So we'll take this off the table. We're not going to do anything with this tonight because Kelly had some procedural things. I'd like to put it right back on the table and move on. So I need a motion. Table? Second?
Second.
Okay. Item B, 2021-8, storage units, 725 and 75 Barnum Avenue. Assessor's map, blah, blah, blah. Applicant CMB Group, LLC, BACO, 725 LLC. Is the petitioner or his representative here?
Yes.
Would you give your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening. My name is Brian Phillips. I'm with Langen Engineering here on behalf of the applicant, and I can give a brief overview of the project. The properties are 725 and 735 Barnum Avenue cutoff. Existing conditions on the site are shown here on the survey. The grade up at Barnum Avenue is approximately 26, elevation 26, and the site slopes from the front to the back down to approximately elevation 6. And stormwater from the site all flows down to the south, and currently a existing sewer easement and sewer pipe run approximately diagonally through the southern end of the site. In the rear of our site is Long Brook, which is shown on the next page. All the stormwater from the developed portion of our site runs down to the rear and is directed through an 18-inch concrete pipe, which acts as a culvert, discharging to Long Brook. This is the proposed site plan, and what we are proposing are 6 self-storage buildings, which are essentially, storage containers, outdoor storage containers that you drive up to. The 2 existing buildings in the front will be maintained. In the proposed condition, we are staying within the previously developed limits of the site. No direct wetland impacts are proposed. There is a portion of the buildings which are in the 100-foot upland area, but we are outside the 50-foot setback. Moving on to our stormwater design, we're maintaining existing drainage patterns as much as possible. Everything from the site will continue to flow to the south. We are installing a network of catch basins and pipes, which will pipe the stormwater underground to a proposed detention basin, which was sized in accordance with the town's MS4 general permit to retain the first half-inch of new impervious for a redevelopment project. In addition, we are installing a water quality unit upstream of the detention and utilizing the existing 18-inch RCP pipe, so there are no new outfalls proposed to Long Brook. That's the general rundown. I can answer any questions.
Any questions of the commission?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. McCann.
And this through you, Mr. Chairman, to Kelly. In your staff recommendations, you've made several comments.
Closer to me.
You've made several comments that a soil management plan be submitted. Has that yet been submitted?
That has not. I did speak with the applicant's agent earlier today about submittal of the soil management plan. I don't know that it's been prepared yet. I'm fairly certain it probably hasn't, but there is an appetite from the applicant to submit that as a condition of the permit for approval prior to any building or any development on the property.
Okay. Next question. You also recommend that an invasive species control plan be developed and implemented. Has that been developed and presented to you?
It has not, but I've also, again, have spoken with the applicant's agent earlier today, and we had mentioned the developer, I believe, for this parcel is similar or somewhat related to the storage units somewhat adjacent to this property, and there is appetite to essentially mimic the invasive species control that was completed on that property, and then essentially the same native species restoration as well.
You're going to review that plan before it's implemented?
Yes, I would recommend that we review the soils management plan, an invasive species management plan, and a native species restoration plan before we allow any building permits to be issued for this property.
That's going to be other than just spraying the heck out of it with Roundup?
I would hope so. I believe
I'm saying that facetiously, but I mean, somebody could come in and say, this is my invasive species management plan, and we have to evaluate it.
Correct. My hope is that it will be similar or to the invasive species management plan that was produced for the adjacent property that was previously approved.
Is that going to include a bond for implementation?
Yes, that would include a bond for implementation.
And it be done in a timely manner?
Yes, that would have to be done before we release, obviously, the bond, and it can be done coincidentally with construction.
Okay.
As long as the applicant's agreeable. I don't want to speak on behalf of the applicant.
Yes.
And this is, I guess, to you, sir. She recommends that the parking potentially be reduced in order to accomplish additional landscaped areas. Has that been done, or is that considered?
So currently, the rear of the site consists of, many impervious areas, and it's not in the best state currently. And the landscaping that we're proposing, is an improvement from the current condition. The parking that we've proposed is within existing impervious areas, and it is to serve the existing buildings. So we have tried to reduce it as much as we can while holding the zoning requirements for parking.
Okay. So you're simply following the zoning requirements for parking?
Correct.
What kind of monitoring do you do, and what kind of rules do you have about what can be stored in these units, particularly hazardous materials, and even more particularly materials, if there is a release, an inadvertent or accidental release, could have a significant impact on the general area as well as Longbrook and downstream?
I'm not aware of, exactly what rules there are as far as what can be kept in the storage units themselves. But they are graded such that it's essentially a flat pad in there. Any spill, it certainly would not come gushing out.
Well, particularly, normally these things happen when there's a storm event, aka a hurricane.
And these are covered storage units.
But if there is an accident, it releases. It just seems curious that you don't have some sort of rules or regulations as to what you can put in there.
I am not aware of any rules, and there may be rules for what can and cannot be stored.
Does the fire marshal have any? Well, it should be stipulated, and it should probably be stipulated that it's run by the fire marshal in particular. Okay.
Which is commissioned, different than the first one. rules, we don't have to see it. It's all part of it.
Gasoline and pyrotechnics in the same one, yes.
No.
Again, we can stipulate. Anything else?
Where are we with this application? Are we, these are all contingencies. Like we said, it's very difficult, and I think it's actually illicit for us to give conditional permits unless it's so stipulated that that's coming back to you, Administrator, for review. So what we have done in the past, I know we have approved for a permit, but issuance
Based on the
of a permit
stipulations.
is based on your
Right.
acceptance.
All of our permits are actually conditional, so there's conditions associated with every single permit, but we can obviously add or
Well,
subtract
I mean
conditions.
conditional, if you do this, kind of thing.
Right.
I mean, we put the conditions, you must do this, that's a condition.
Yep.
But the condition saying, we hope you do this, is,
I think we can condition so that they must do
Must,
that, yeah. All
absolutely.
the conditions that I include in
that's my
permits
point.
are
All
a
these-
must.
All these are gonna have to be musts.
Yes,
not may.
no, yes, certainly.
Okay,
Otherwise, what's the point of putting a condition in if
Exactly.
No, no,
they,
I know. I
the
mean,
shall,
yeah, well,
or
I
should,
mean,
or...
I can give you examples of other ones, but we'll do that at another.
No, we don't need those. Hold on. Go forward here.
All right,
Anything else?
I'm a little confused. Where this storage unit's gonna go?
The storage
Where the
units are
racetrack is.
these, do you mean on the plan right here?
Yeah, I mean, 'cause this is what
These
we got, and
buildings-
that's different from up there, what you guys got.
So the Barnum Avenue is here, the railroad is down here, Longbrook runs this
That's where the
way.
go-kart track.
So, yeah, there's a go-kart track
Right.
there currently, and these are the proposed storage units. They kind of line up,
It's going in the go-kart area.
correct.
Okay, so okay, I'm looking at this thing you have delineated with the black line. I thought you were gonna put it down through here or something. I understand.
No,
I know right where it's going now. Okay.
yep, yeah, currently the go-kart track is
Yep.
right there.
Anything else?
The reason, no, you know what happened, Tom? You may remember. Remember a few years back, I think Barry Knott did the proposal. They wanted to knock these buildings down and put a big unit in. And they had, remember that? That's what I was thinking of. That's what.
So, any other questions? All right. So we can approve, table, or disapprove?
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. I'd like to add to that motion, if I may, that we approve with the conditions that are stipulated by the Conservation Administrator. Those conditions must be met before any permits are granted. And basically, what we'd like to see is a mirror of what was done on the storage unit adjacent to it, which I don't think is unreasonable.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. Call for a vote, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Next item, permit modification, construction of 63,457 square foot East Campus, Stratford Campus, Lordship Boulevard, Stratford Land Development. Is the petitioner here? Yes, he is.
Good evening. Jim Casey, Stratford Development. I live at 1903 Burr Street in Fairfield, Connecticut. Thank you all for hearing this application this evening. I'm going to go back to when we originally came in and looked for a permit several years ago. We had a client that wanted a 530,000 square foot building. We had a 42.5 acre parcel. It met all the zoning standards. We designed it. We did everything but sign a lease and build it. But we got it approved for construction. And that was probably the maximum amount of building coverage the zone would permit. The site had originally been a 50% coverage site. It was reduced to 30% coverage with an allowable 5-story, second-story component. So the stormwater drainage was also reduced, as it's a 70% max impervious site. But that was what we got approved. So we went back to the drawing board. We found another client. We came back in. We modified the permit. As you all probably know, there's a 225,000 square foot FedEx facility on the back portion of this site. So the original 42-acre site was subdivided. The developers purchased the 28 acres, and they used the permits before us tonight to govern everything that took place on that site. We were here earlier this year. We marked up a plan and showed you most of the improvements that had been already constructed related to those original permits, so that the original perimeter infiltration ditches, the front and rear retention ponds have all been installed on the property. The property's designed through the first two, the original permit and the revised permit, let's say the first permit modification, to manage 29 acres of stormwater. And we sit here before you this evening for the final modification to this permit to permit a 63,000 square foot building to be constructed on the site currently approved for 137,000 feet. And the remaining third lot, which had parking on it in various phases of these prior permits, now has parking on it to support the development on 975 Lordship. And when we add it all up, we're probably 3 acres less now with the stormwater we'll generate. Permitted for 29. We're looking at about 26. And all of the zoning requirements have been met. So I'm just going to ask if there's any questions or anything I can do beyond that brief summary.
Okay. Any questions of the commissioners? Ken?
Once again, through you, Mr. Chairman, of the administrator, I had a lot of questions at the last meeting, but reading her report, there are 9 bullets that say satisfactory answer. So of those 9, is everything satisfactory?
Yes, I believe everything has been satisfactorily answered at this time. But I guess my one quip that I would like to see as a condition would be the landscaping plan before a building permit would be issued, to have a more detailed landscaping plan with some better native species diversity. I think there was like 42 London plane trees for the parking
Agreed.
area, and I'd just like to see a little more diversity there. But that was my main quip. And then if we could install silt fencing and then do some sort of turtle sweep prior to any construction, just in case there are any diamondback terrapins present. I mean, we have terrapins loaded up on Burma Road all the time, so they could easily be on this property, even though it is slightly disturbed at this time. I'd like to see that as a condition as well.
We agreed to that in the past, and we certainly agreed to it here this evening.
Very good.
Okay.
All right. With all those bullets in mind, which include the landscape plan, the turtle sweep, the laboratory analysis, and all the other conditions, we'll move to approve the application.
I have one question. I'm sorry to interrupt, because I do appreciate how this is.
You want me to withdraw that?
No, sir. We had submitted a request so that it would be clear to everyone what was going to happen. The idea is we're going to try and get the developer with their client to purchase the land and these permits transferred to them. I've given Kelly the specific name and all the details on that, and was hoping to make sure that that is part of what we're accomplishing this evening, so that we can avoid having to come back an additional time and request a permit be transferred.
That's included in my memo as well, and I see no issue with the permit transfer.
No issue with that.
Thank you. I knew it was in her notes, but I'm not sure we ever mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay, so,
Kelly recommended that.
Thank you.
so, we're looking for a motion here.
Just did it.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Say it again. Just talking to the microphone, man.
He told me to withdraw it. No.
So we have a motion, we have a
I
second.
have a motion to approve with all the conditions that we just spelled out.
Okay. We have a second, Shinto? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, new business. None. Kelly, staff reports?
Pretty quick.
All right, the bylaws that you all had voted on have been submitted to the town clerk for filing, so those are now on the record, and they are official. I did send a certified letter to the owner of 350 Whippoorwill Lane and requested their presence at this meeting, and they are clearly not here. And I have not received the return receipt card yet either to indicate that they had received the letter, so I don't know. It could very well be that they have not received it for some odd reason, but I sent it probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, so I'm not sure where that stands, but they have not reached out to me either, so, and they're not here, so I will continue trying to get them at the meeting.
Do we know if the taxes are current on that property?
I can look it up right now.
Do we know if the taxes are current on that property, or is it basically abandoned?
The last we heard that they were not. I don't know. That was the last statement that
I
was
mean,
made.
at some point,
I believe that
it's
was,
possible that this person just takes a hike.
I think that's probable more than
Well,
possible.
okay. Probable is included under possible. I mean, I don't know what we want to do with it if we take it. It's you know, it's just in the middle of no place. Except maybe sell it.
Well, once upon a time, we remember when this first came through, when we had the auditorium filled with
Right.
people in the neighboring
Oh, yeah.
neighborhood. They actually, one of them actually suggested that that was a possibility, that they would, you know, incorporate it. as their-
Collectively buy each piece of it.
Yeah, incorporate it into their individual adjoining properties.
I
So
just,
if we take it, we can, you know, make an overture to those people and see if they,
Well, sell it for $1 a piece, who cares?
well, it'll increase their taxes.
right. I did just look it up on mytaxbill.org, and there are 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 back taxes owed on that
17,
property.
18, 19, 4 years.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah, so
So-
pretty soon he's
the
done.
opponents were
Forget
right
it.
then.
Yeah, but I'll still continue to try and reach out to the property owner and try to get them here
Okay.
to discuss the current status regardless.
Anything else?
Still have some outstanding performance bonds. I have some information I just received that I do need to review before pushing that on to the commission. And I think that is pretty much it. I have no enforcement actions or administrative permits. Although I did just get one since this permit. There was Southern Connecticut Gas cleared an area adjacent to the pond at Clover Park without a permit, and I'm in the process of pursuing some enforcement action with them because they didn't get a permit to do that, and they cleared substantial vegetation over there.
My gas bill's too high. Show 'em numbers.
And that's all I have.
Kelly. I have a
Okay,
question.
Commissioners Forum.
Which part, Clover Pond, which part of the pond was?
It's adjacent. If you go, Putnam Street on the back entrance. If you go down Putnam, it's right at the end on the left. It's
Like where the
pretty
bridge is?
apparent.
Where
What's
the-
that?
Where that little bridge is, little.
Yep, it's right by the. It's a little further up. It's near the paved portion of Putnam, but you can't miss it. So
Okay. Just wanted-
unfortunately.
Okay.
Commissioners Forum? Okay, so I got something I want to bring up. At the last meeting of the Waterfront Commission, Chairman Shinto did something different than I've seen happen at a public hearing before. We normally,
It wasn't bad, though.
no, it's
Looking
good.
at me like
We
I'm
normally let the petitioner speak, then go to the commissioners, then go to the public. He let the petitioner speak and went to the public, asked the commissioners to hold their comments until after the public spoke. And I thought it was a good idea because the public has no ability to have a back and forth with the petitioners. The commissioners do. So by letting the public speak, the commissioners had the ability to listen to the public's comments and perhaps include them in their give and take with the petitioner. And I thought it was a good idea, and I was thinking that maybe on this Peters Lane, when it ever shows up, I do that, and I'd like to have your thoughts on that, whether you think it's foolish or worth considering.
Did Chairman Cinto think of that? I give you thumbs up for that. I agree.
I think it's a good idea because
I think it's a great idea.
if somebody brings something up in a public hearing, you say, holy mackerel, I didn't think, now you can press where they can't. All they can do is say their piece,
Fine.
and they're down the
I
road.
don't think there's anything that prohibits it
No, I don't think so
in
either.
the regs or anything, right? Fine.
So,
We'll use that as a protocol.
we'll try it and see how it works. That's all I got.
Yeah, but the thing is that, you do get some of the public that want to put in the Gettysburg Address.
Well, you don't have to incorporate their comments into your comment there.
We're going
You
to have
may.
to be a little bit more
It's not
strict on
required.
time. Cool.
They used to have a timer up here, but I think that's.
Well, we can use the timer. It depends. You ask how many people are going to speak. If 200 people say they're going to speak, okay, it's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's 2 minutes, or whatever it is. And the last time we had something on Peters Lane, when these people were here, I remember one guy with a scarf wrapped around his neck. Anyways, he was talking about osprey. We don't care about osprey unless they have something to do with wetlands. So you got to try to keep the focus on what we're interested in. So I think that's worth looking into. I think it's a good idea. I think it worked out well. Yeah, so that's all I got. Anything else? Well, it's that time again. 27 minutes, not bad.
To approve a permit.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second it.
You want to make a motion to adjourn, John?
Before we adjourn, I have a question for Kelly.
Oh, go ahead, sure.
On the legal issues for Peters Lane and the public forum, are the issues because of the COVID, or is it?
It was because of the way that I noticed the public hearing. Apparently, there's some case law surrounding, so Peters Lane has no formal address, and the applicant's lawyer informed me that there's case law that if there's no formal address, that you really should, in the public interest, you should say adjacent to 375 Peters Lane, across the street from 500 Peters Lane, or 700 feet from the intersection of Peters and James Farm Road, or what have you. So they thought that was incorrect. And then the applicant name, they wanted JRB Holdings Co. Inc., Co. LLC, and not James Barrett, even though James Barrett is...
So he probably saw something where there was a potential for...
There's a potential for a lawsuit, and they
Legal
wanted,
action.
and they wanted to make sure
And he
that
wanted to
if we go through the public
include it.
hearing, we're doing it correctly right from the get-go, so there's
Right.
no opportunity for any legal action.
Okay.
So that was all that was, a procedural kind of thing.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion? Second, all in favor? Thank you.